Hello, this is Paul Bierman with the Holy Grail of Poker, and this is a video on draws, pot odds, and outs. We'll talk about a couple concepts in this video. We'll talk about odds, both express odds or pot odds, and implied odds. We'll also talk about outs, the number of cards that you need to help your hand, and some rules of thumb. The first rule of thumb is the rule of 4, which says if you're on the flop and you have 2 cards to come, and you can multiply the number of outs you have by the number 4 to approximate the win percent that you have if you're able to see both cards. So if you have 8 outs times 4 is 32, is awful close to 31.5. So a nice rule of thumb. Similar rule of thumb works for the turn. When you only have one more card, you can multiply 2 times the number of outs to approximate your win percentage, and it will be it will slightly underrepresent your win percentage. For example, 12 outs times 2 is 24, but the actual win percentage, or the actual percent of time that your 12 outs will show up on the river, is 26%. We're going to get some help from our pros as usual, and we'll see some examples right now. Okay, so we have ace-9 suited in the cutoff. It's folded to us, so we raise, and we get min raised by the big blind, 50 Chuck, and he raises 22% of the time and plays 62% of his hands for the hands we have of him. So not to be too concerned, and so we call. Now he bets the pot. So now we can do some simple calculations. To call here, we need to put $25 in, which will represent a third of the pot. So we need to win a third of the time in order for a call to be profitable. And we have our 9 flush outs, and we have probably 3 ace outs, so that's 12 outs times our rule of 4 is about 48, and we might even be ahead right now. So we're obviously calling, but since even if we get all the money in, we're still only a slight dog, and so we'd like to raise and get him to fold, and so kind of have perhaps a 50-50 shot of winning if we get all the money in, and a chance of winning if we get him to fold right now. So and you can see the Holy Grail of Poker saying to raise most of the time, 93% of the time here. And so he calls us, and then a blank comes on the turn, and he goes all in. And now is time to hit the time bank and do some calculations. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what win percent we need. And the way I like to think about that is, if we put the 112 in, what percent of the pot will that be? And if he had bet 155, we'd need a 33% chance of winning. If he had bet half of the pot, call it $75, close to 75, then we'd need a 25% chance to win. And so he bet something in between those two, and 112. So it's looking to me like about 30%, maybe a little less. So we need a 30% chance, win percent chance. And we probably still have our 12 outs. He probably has an overpair. And 12 times 2, our rule of 2 here, since we're on the turn, is 24. And it just so happens that was it's actually 26. And so we're short. So on the surface it looks like a fold, but with 26 we only need 4% more to win, and he could be on a bluff. He could have a flush draw, in which case we're a huge favorite. He could have a straight draw, in which case we're a huge favorite, and he could have nothing. He could have pocket eights, in which case our 9, we have 3 more 9 outs as well. And if a 5 comes, we're going to split the pot. So you put all that together, and what looks like a fold becomes a call. And so we can see here the Holy Grail of Poker saying it's a $22 value for a call, which is not that much in a $380 pot. And we won the pot there. We got the club on the river, which gave him trips and gave us a flush, and we won. Okay, we have ace-10 offsuit, 2 off the button, so we raise, and we get called by the small blind. The small blind raises 21% of the time and voluntarily puts money in the pot 45% of the time. So on the surface, it looks like he could have just about anything. However, it appears he plays position pretty well because he still folds to steal attempts 87% of the time. So this guy could be a reasonably decent player, even though he plays a heck of a lot of hands. So we flop an open-ended straight draw, and the first thing to notice is that we're only using one of our 2 cards. So a 7 or a queen gives us a straight. However, in those cases, there's 4 to a straight on the board, and he will be quite concerned that we have a 10. So it will limit the implied odds that we will be able to earn from this hand, because he's not going to put a ton of money into the pot with 2 pair with 4 to a straight on there on the board, especially since he looks like he's probably a reasonable player given that he's playing position. He's aware of the fact that he should play hands a lot more frequently in position than in the blinds. So he bets half the pot. So immediately we know if he bets half the pot, then we're going to have to put in $8 to call, which would be 25% of 32. If he bets half the pot and we call, the pot will be 32, and 8's 25% of 32. So forgetting about a lot of other factors, we're going to need to win 25% of the time for this to be a smart call. And we have roughly 8 non-nut outs, meaning we're not going to have the best possible hand when a 7 or a queen hits, but it'll be darn good. 8 times 4, the rule of 4, gives us a 32% chance of winning if we get to see both cards here, and that's more than 25. So combined with the fact that we have quite large stacks and we might be able to win some more money, it's a crystal clear call. But maybe we want to raise. The Holy Grail of Poker wants to raise 42% of the time, but it did simulate in this instance that the call was actually worth a little more. And our pro calls, and the king comes on the turn, which is kind of interesting because if a 7 comes, 10 queen still beats us, but now if a queen comes, we then have the best possible hand. So when the stacks are this deep, that actually starts to matter, because if we get all in, if he had if a queen comes now and he has a 10, then maybe we wind up getting all in and we win with a higher straight because we would have 10 to ace. So that actually helps us in the grand scheme of things. So he bets the pot. So now to call $30, we're going to have to put in roughly 33% of the pot, and so we really need, from a pot odds or an express odds perspective, we need a 33% win. And forgetting about implied odds for a moment, and what do we have? We have 8 outs to a straight. 8 times 2 now is 16. 16 is an awful lot less than 33. It's about half of the win rate we need. However, if a queen comes, 4 of our 8 outs, we have the nuts, and we could win a huge pot if he has trips and doesn't believe us, or if he has a smaller straight. So it's a little more complex because we do have some nice implied odds, but the 8 times 2 is 16. It's just too low a percentage given the fact that he bet this almost the pot here. So despite all those wonderful things, this is really a fold here. It's not a it's not a it would not be a horrible call. It's saying the Holy Grail of Poker simulating that on average we'd lose $2.50 by calling there, which is not that much in a $62 pot. And the reason that it's has so much value there is those few times when the queen does come, we sometimes win very large pots. I might mention I talked about the queen as if it gave us the nuts. The queen of spades would not give us the nuts. Just wanted to mention that. The other three queens would give us the best possible hand. Okay, we have 4-5 suited on the button, and we get a raise, an early position raiser, and we call. The Holy Grail of Poker recommends folding here. These pros call with 4-5 suited half the time, and you know, they're going to be calling against weak opponents and deep stacked more often than otherwise. So here's an opportunity for them to call. It's very close. So if you're a pro level player, then by all means call against deep stacked weak players. And this player might be that type. If you're not a pro, then you might want to consider folding these, because it's hard to make money with these hands. These pros lose money with this hand one off the button. They make money on the button, and so in any event, we flop a gut shot. A 3 will give us the best possible straight here, and he bets about 2/3 the pot here. And so like some of the hands before, we need roughly 30% to call here. Obviously we don't have that. We have 4 outs and no other outs. 4 outs times 4 is 16. That's about half of the win percent we need for express odds or pot odds. However, he's deep stacked, he's passive, he has a 1 aggressiveness factor for the 67 hands we have of him. He's tight, and so he probably has an ace. So this is one of a few situations where it makes sense to call a gut shot. It's a very close decision nonetheless, though. The Holy Grail of Poker's simulating a 65-cent value to this $12 call. And it's because we're deep stacked, and we have a chance to win a very large pot off of loose Nutella. So he now checks to us, and we can bluff here. He probably has that ace and is going to call us, but the Holy Grail of Poker is simulating more value to this bluff here, or semi-bluff, and suggesting betting 26% of the time. He raises us, and so this is an easy fold. There is $150 in the pot, so if we put 50 in, there will be $200. So we need a 25% win rate, and we're going to win 4 out of 4 times 2 is 8%. So we're quite short of the 25% we need to win. But of course, when we win, we're likely to win this extra 100, but not enough to make up for it. So very easy fold here. Holy Grail of Poker saying to actually raise 1% of the time here, but fold the rest for a big negative $27 for a call there. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can go to theholygrailofpoker.com and click on videos to see more. You can watch this demo video if you like to see how the software works. And if you'd like to purchase the Holy Grail of Poker, right now it's in beta, even though it's working quite well. It's in beta pricing for only $100 a year, which is quite good relative to having a full-time poker coach that would cost you $100 an hour. Hope you enjoy it.